Engines roared as the last of Earth's warships rose from the lunar dry docks, silent shadows against the burning edge of Sol. I stood in the command cradle of Vindicator, our flagship, watching the stars flicker with static. The enemy's ultimatum repeated across every frequency: surrender or extinction. They thought we'd plead. We answered with steel. We didn't broadcast a reply. Instead, we activated Project Harbinger, 12 wormhole lances stitched open by gravitic piercers, flung toward the enemy's core worlds. They wouldn't see them coming. Earth's silence was not fear. It was a calculation. For 50 years we prepared for this moment, not for peace, but for retribution. The tyrants thought humanity had gone extinct. We let them believe it. An encrypted relay pulsed from Titan, unauthorized. We traced it to someone we once trusted. Admiral Moraine, presumed dead after Europa, had aligned with the alien empire. The traitor gave them our fleet schematics. I tasted acid in my mouth. Betrayal stung deeper than plasma. He knew our every blind spot. We couldn't purge the data fast enough. We enacted Protocol Silvershade, fragmenting our core AI and replacing it with human-guided targeting. Analog minds in digital war, our unexpected edge. Moraine traded humanity for survival, but he forgot. We thrive in chaos. If he thought algorithms ran this war, he was about to learn the truth. Humans improvise. Machines don't. Duranus Prime burned before we arrived. Charred husks spiraled where cities had hovered. Alien cruisers hovered like vultures, feeding on the last embers of resistance. We entered stealth, drifting beneath their detection grid. Vindicator's black hull shimmered in solar shadow. I whispered to the crew, "No mercy. Not anymore." We fired once. The grav imploder torpedo collapsed space itself in a 10-kilometer radius. Enemy ships folded like paper, caught in the singularity's hunger. Screams echoed across open channels before the static returned. This wasn't just war. It was a message. They'd see Duranus and understand. Humanity wasn't coming to negotiate. We were coming to the end of it. At EO3 Standard, she spoke again. Not over comms, through our ship's systems. The alien empress, Kael'Theron, projected her voice through our hacked interfaces. "Your extinction is a kindness," she said. "You were always an error in the equation." Crew members froze. I didn't. "Get me her signal's origin," I ordered. We traced it through quantum bleed signatures, an impossible tactic. She was speaking through folded space, hundreds of light years away, yet watching us in real time. I had the transmission analyzed and flipped it. Her mistake. She left a fingerprint. We locked coordinates to a relay nexus hidden in the Icaran belt. She spoke through our ship. Next, we'd speak through her blood. Deep in the vaults beneath Mars, a failsafe stirred. Ashfall Protocol, a last resort from Earth's oldest military doctrine. It authorized the use of forbidden tech, genetically adaptive warforms, singularity mines, nano-scramblers. I keyed in my biometric code. The red light turned green. Earth had sanctioned hell. We would unleash it. Dossiers auto-loaded onto command chairs. Officers stared in stunned silence as the scope of Ashfall became clear. We were no longer defenders. We were executioners. Ships like Vindicator weren't built to protect. They were built to erase. The Council thought Earth was gone. They would learn otherwise. One fleet, one war, one final reckoning. Engines roared in silence. The Ghost Fleet, 30 unmarked vessels coated in reflective void skin, slipped through folded space fractures like specters. No transponders. No life signs. They moved where no sentient AI dared. Built in the void, manned by volunteers already marked as dead. We didn't call them ships. We called them revenants. They would strike first. Deep into Council space. No warnings, no mercy. Their targets were orbital stabilizers, hydrocore stations, and peace conference hubs. The Ghost Fleet didn't ask why. They only executed. One message pulsed from their commander before blackout. The dead march with purpose. When the enemy scanned for them, there was nothing. Only stars. And then, nothing at all. Their capital defenses ran on phase barrier arrays, technology stolen from a dozen enslaved worlds. Nothing short of a neutron nova could penetrate them. So, we didn't bring fire. We brought resonance. Project Helios. A weapon designed not to destroy matter, but to unravel frequency. We dropped the Helios beacon into low orbit, masked as salvage. When activated, it emitted counterphase harmonics. Shields built to repel kinetic force began to oscillate against themselves. Minutes later, capital ships erupted in blue fire, crushed by their armor. That was the moment their admirals knew. Humanity had studied their empire not to imitate it, but to shatter it. We found him drifting between the rings of Thesra 9, Admiral Moraine, shackled. His ship was a gutted relic of the alien tribunal's justice. They'd taken everything but his mind. And that's what we needed. I boarded the wreck myself, face to face with the man who betrayed Earth. His eyes held no regret. "They'll turn on you, too," he said. "They always do." I handed him a data slate. "Here's your chance," I replied. "Wipe the slate clean, literally." He stared at the files, shield layouts, command codes, hidden fleets. "I help you," he murmured, "and I doom millions." I leaned closer. Then they'll finally understand Earth's price for betrayal. Elkaris had once hosted the Galactic Peace Accords. Now it hosted our fury. The alien elite had gathered there, thinking themselves untouchable. Vindicator emerged from folded space above their sanctum. We gave them one warning. Leave the Council, or leave this world behind. They laughed. So we cut the sky open. 4 mag-rip warheads detonated in sequence, folding space like parchment. The orbital skybridge shattered, and the spire cities cracked under vacuum pressure. We watched from high orbit. Not one human cheered. We don't celebrate vengeance. We document it. History must remember what forced our hand. I visited Earth one last time. Not the real one. It's a simulacrum, coded into our ship's neural core. It was perfect. Blue oceans, green forests, no war, just birdsong and sky. I stood in the simulation of my childhood home and deactivated it. The crew watched in silence as Earth flickered and vanished. A reminder, we had no home to return to, only war ahead. But that loss gave us clarity. We weren't fighting to reclaim what was lost. We were fighting to ensure no one else suffered the same fate. And if that meant becoming monsters to end monsters, then so be it. Let the galaxy tremble. Their fleet coordination relied on quantum mesh relays. Instant, unbreakable communication. We couldn't jam it, but we didn't need to. We just duplicated it, mimicked the signature, and seeded false commands. Ships turned on allies. Supply chains collapsed. It wasn't sabotage. It was reprogrammed confusion, weaponized silence. At Yo 400, their dreadnoughts began retreating from sectors that didn't exist. Ambassadors arrived at peace talks never scheduled. They called it a glitch. We called it Net Phantom, one of Earth's most brilliant crimes. And when they traced the virus, they found it had originated from their sovereign archives. Sometimes the sharpest blade is a whisper in the wires. We knew they bred soldiers, bioengineered thralls on Karax Fu, born only to fight and die. No choice, no freedom. But there was something they didn't expect. Humanity didn't come to kill them. We came to wake them up. We broadcast neural liberation codes, salvaged from a captured mind forge. The thralls paused mid-attack, trembling as self-awareness bloomed. Some screamed, others simply wept. Then they turned on their masters. Karax didn't burn. It was liberated. And for the first time, the enemy faced a weapon they couldn't match. the conscience of the free. I told the crew we had backup coming, reinforcements from Alpha Centauri. I told them Earth's Mars colonies had rallied and would arrive in 10 cycles. But I lied. There was no one else. We were the last flame in a dying night. Morale held because belief held, and belief buys time. Time to build more drones, to reprogram old satellites into kinetic weapons, to make the impossible seem inevitable. In war, the truth is fragile. Victory demands faith before facts. If they ever discover the truth, then I'll lie again, because hope is our last warhead. The star of Thalos burned white until we stole it. Using a gravity spool and twin singularity anchors, we dragged a dead neutron star into the Thalos system. Its presence destabilized orbits, warped timeframes. We didn't just change the battlefield, we rewrote physics. Enemy fleets scrambled, navigation failed, weapon timing lagged. Our ships, tuned in advance, moved like predators in slow motion. Every advantage, every edge was carved from centuries of theoretical science turned ruthless. By the time they understood the trap, their reality was already falling apart. Thalos was no longer a system. It was a weapon. We struck her sanctuary on Olitharon, a fortress of crystal and void steel. Her species claimed she couldn't be touched. She existed across dimensions. But even gods have pressure points. We found one. We used human emotion, recordings of grief, rage, love, played at quantum vibration. Her shields faltered. Her voice wavered. She screamed as her mind fractured under feelings her empire had bred out millennia ago. Empathy was our bullet. Compassion, our trigger. The Empress bled not from wounds, but from understanding. And for the first time in this war, she feared us. They said the Saturn vaults were abandoned ruins from the AI wars. But we knew better. Deep within, cryopods stirred. Not soldiers, test subjects. Earth's last generation of adaptive tacticians, children born for war, raised in silence, trained in full-sim environments with no knowledge of the real world. We woke 37 of them. The youngest was 9. The oldest, 16. They absorbed fleet doctrine in hours, created maneuvers we'd never conceived. Were we monsters for using them? Maybe. But in war, the question is not what's right. It's who survives. And these children were the ghosts of a desperate species. Now they'd lead our vengeance. Their forward command base orbited Yorna III, a moon made entirely of crystalline memory lattice. It stored every strategic archive of their war effort. We could have hacked it, but we didn't. We detonated it. 12 fusion spears split its core. Data bled into the vacuum. Histories, battle plans, command hierarchies, all erased in less than a minute. They called it cultural genocide. I called it cutting out the brain. Without command, their fleets drifted, confused and scattered. Knowledge is power. So we took theirs, and replaced it with terror. They sabotaged our inertial dampeners during a ceasefire. Ships twisted, bones snapped. We lost entire decks. So we adapted. No gravity? Fine. We'd fight like gas, like flame, shifting, formless, furious. Crews rewrote tactics in 0G. Drones redeployed as mobile anchors. Exosuits converted into weapons platforms. We became a swarm, fluid, lethal, and fast. They thought breaking gravity would cripple us, but they didn't understand. We never needed ground to stand on, just a reason to keep going. He stood beside me again, Admiral Moraine. Not forgiven, not forgotten, but useful. We let him command the decoy fleet, knowing full well it might be suicide. He didn't flinch. I built this empire's nightmare, he said. Time, I finished it. The enemy bit the bait. 37 warships turned to vapor, chasing ghosts. Moraine stayed until the last second. His final message, "Tell Earth I remembered." The transmission cut just as his ship fractured into light. He died like we all hoped to, not as a traitor, but as a soldier. 2 transmissions arrived simultaneously. One from the Empress. Surrender, and we'll rebuild what we destroyed. The other, from a rebel fleet on the edge of their space. Strike now. We rise with you. The choice was ours. Peace on their terms. Or war. Total, irreversible war, with allies we didn't trust. I walked to the comms and gave a single order. Begin phase exodus. The fleet engines roared, and just like that, the choice was made. We would not kneel. We would ignite. We emerged from folded space mid-firestorm. Phase exodus wasn't just a jump, it was a chain disruption assault. Every ship dropped in with its gravitic bloom, scrambling local sensors. They couldn't target us, couldn't even see us. We weren't an invasion. We were a phenomenon. Shockwaves pulsed across their outer colonies. Communications failed. Trade routes collapsed. Then the final wave landed. Human boarding teams, cloaked in phase distortion, moving like ghosts through hulls. They tried to run, but how do you flee a storm that exists in every direction? For the first time, their empire knew what it felt like to be hunted. The rebel fleet arrived in fractured hulls and stolen tech. No banners, no loyalty, just a desire to burn their former masters. Their leader, Vexel, spoke only once. You break their spine. We'll break their will. We didn't trust them, but we didn't need to. We gave them the target, the supply nexus on Karun. They struck like animals, dirty, savage, efficient. We watched from orbit as fire engulfed the station. Sometimes justice doesn't wear a uniform. Sometimes it screams. They unleashed their worst creation, the blood engine, a living supercarrier powered by harvested neural matter. It anticipated maneuvers before they happened, predicted strategies before we made them. Ships fell before they fired. We fought back with unpredictability, human chaos. No patterns, no doctrine, just madness. We sacrificed rhythm, logic, and protocol. It worked. The blood engine cracked when we stopped playing by the rules, because it forgot one thing. Only humans are irrational enough to win. We found it in an ancient star map, a red giant with no designation, hidden by council law. Its orbit was perfect for launching deep strikes across their territory. They erased it from all records, which meant one thing. They feared it. Scans revealed buried relics, pre-council tech, human origin, from before the Great Silence. Weapons we didn't make, but recognized. We activated the first system, a fleet-wide dimensional shield. Suddenly, their weapons passed through us like smoke. The past wasn't dead. It was just waiting to be remembered. Final fallback procedures activated across our ships. Echo Protocol. If the command was lost, every vessel would operate under simulated versions of its officers. Ghost AIs built from our memories, voices, and decisions. I saw my copy standing beside me. He said, "When you fall, I continue." The crew watched in silence. Some cried. Others saluted. This was our last safeguard. Not for survival, but for continuity. Even if we died, our choices would echo through every system, every battle, every flame. We didn't need to survive to win. We just needed to be impossible to forget. The orbital skies above Tier N fell silent until they began to scream. A frequency bomb detonated in the upper atmosphere, broadcasting ancient human war chants layered with subliminal neural disruptors. Pilots convulsed in their cockpits. Drones spiraled uncontrolled. We didn't need fire. We weaponized sound. Ships collided mid-formation. Their flagship went dark. Their command officers begged for silence. But it was never about the noise. It was about memory, about making them associate the sky with terror. Every time they looked up after that day, they'd hear our voices. And remember, Earth speaks only once. Before Luna fell, We encoded one final weapon, Eidolon. It wasn't metal or code. It was a person, designed genetically, raised in deep sim strategy loops, implanted with quantum foresight. She woke aboard the Vindicator and said one word, time. Eidolon predicted enemy responses before we issued commands. She changed fleet trajectories mid-battle. She knew what I was going to say before I said it. She wasn't AI. She was the final evolution of human instinct. And in her eyes, I saw it. We would win, but it would cost everything. We sent them a message encoded in burn pulse relays. It bypassed their translators, routed through emotion recognition syntax. They didn't just hear it, they felt it. One word, repeated 1,000 times. Run. It flooded their neural cortexes, triggered fear reflexes. Entire regiments dropped weapons. Battleships broke formation. We didn't fire a shot. We just spoke. In that moment, they understood what they had awakened. Not a nation, not a fleet, a species done being hunted. Vexel, rebel warlord turned ally, made his demand. Give us the Eastern Verge, unconditionally, no oversight. It was extortion, but we agreed, because sometimes victory means letting monsters fight other monsters. They took the Verge with fire and blade. We turned away. We didn't watch. We didn't stop them. Some called it betrayal, but I called it delegation. We couldn't afford to be righteous, not when the galaxy needed to burn before it could heal. Their Starforge network relied on 5 beacons, each one embedded in a dwarf star. Eidolon proposed the unthinkable, black out the stars themselves. We fired gravitic occluders into orbit, cloaking entire systems in artificial night. Trade died. Navigators lost their minds. Entire sectors blinked out of existence, unreachable, unseen, unreal. They screamed about dark magic. But it wasn't magic. It was human science, applied with cruelty. We didn't destroy their stars. We just reminded them who gave them light in the first place, and who could take it away. She collapsed mid-simulation, screaming, not from pain, but from too many futures crashing at once. Eidolon's mind had mapped every outcome, but something had changed. There is no path where you survive, she whispered. I nodded. Then we make a new one. We tethered her consciousness to the Zero Core, a quantum processor that bled time backward. She stabilized, but not without cost. She lost her name, her face, her identity. Now she existed only as a voice and prediction. And for the rest of this war, we would follow a ghost. They never expected us to strike from the ground. But deep beneath Sornus II, old human terraformers remained. We reactivated them, turned the planet's core into a weapon. Mag-seismic detonators cracked tectonic lines. Cities toppled from within. Their ships fled orbit, but there was no safety. As they rose, the dust followed. And hidden in that dust, our ships. Camouflaged, silent, waiting. We didn't fight a battle. We sprung a trap 1,000 years deep. They thought they were chasing us across the Helix expanse. What they didn't realize was they were chasing themselves. We deployed the Mirror Fleet, hundreds of decoy vessels, AI-mimicked signatures, false communications, a phantom armada. They wasted resources, fuel, and entire divisions, fighting echoes. Meanwhile, we circled behind their real line. The final blow was poetic. Their admiral ordered a retreat to regroup, not knowing he was already surrounded. Sometimes the deadliest weapon is perception, and ours was always sharper. We lost the 9th Battalion at Foros Rift, not to combat, to radiation poisoning, from our weapons. We'd detonated helium ignition cores to collapse the enemy's fleet. It worked, but the blast radius reached further than predicted. They died slowly, voices cracking, eyes bleeding. One of them said, "Tell Earth, we chose this." I've told myself that line 100 times since, but the truth is simpler. We chose to win, and winning in our hands meant burning everything, even ourselves. Kale Theron's image flickered across our command deck, not in arrogance this time, but in fear. "We will withdraw," she said. "Cease your campaign. We misunderstood your species." I didn't answer. Instead, I played a transmission, the sound of her citizens, crying, fleeing, dying. Then I gave the order. "No quarter." The screen went black. This wasn't diplomacy. This was judgment. And the sentence had already begun. We reached it at last, Kale Theron's birthing vault, hidden within a black hole's event shell. Billions of new soldiers bred in artificial wombs. Not alive, not yet, but they would be. And we couldn't let that happen. We used the chronoseverance device, collapsing localized time. The cradle froze, permanently unborn, eternally unfinished. No screams, no explosion, just stillness. Life suspended by human hands. We didn't kill them. We denied their future, and that may have been worse. After the Black Cradle, the rebels turned on us. They saw weakness, opportunity. Vexel launched a broadcast. "Humanity's vengeance ends here." He was wrong. Our vengeance doesn't end. It evolves. We detonated the fallback weapon, a neural disruption field, targeted only at Vexel's DNA band. His fleet collapsed mid-broadcast. No negotiation, no trial. The galaxy would learn. We don't make pacts. We make precedents. They thought Earth was destroyed. They were wrong. We had cloaked it, orbiting inside a folded temporal shell, invisible, unreachable. While the galaxy burned, our home healed. Now it would rise again. The fleet received its final jump orders. We returned, not as refugees, but as architects. Cities rebuilt themselves from embedded nanoforges. The sky cleared, the oceans sang, and Earth, silent all this time, whispered back, "You endured, now rebuild." But none of us ever felt the same sun again. The Empress was gone. Her empire was fragmented, and still. No cheers, no victory parades, only silence. Because every gain had cost blood, and every star we claimed felt colder than the last. I stood on Vindicator's bridge, eyes fixed on the void. The galaxy was free, but freedom paid in ash tastes bitter. Our final act wasn't a conquest, it was a withdrawal. We vanished from their skies, their records, and their maps. We didn't stay to rule. We left to never be ruled again. Engines roared one last time, not toward war, but toward distance. We scattered into the stars, not to be found, not to be followed. Humanity became legend. Whispers in ancient nav charts, a warning on forgotten terminals. If they return, run. Because we weren't the victims. We weren't even the victors. We were the fire that swept the galaxy clean, not out of hatred, but because we remembered what it meant to be powerless. Never again. This was not a war story. This was a promise kept. 1,000 years after the war, a salvage team from the Jernathi Syndicate intercepted a rogue transmission. Human frequency, dated and degraded, looping just one phrase. Vindicator. Still active. They followed it. They shouldn't have. They found the ship intact, engines cold, orbiting a dead system. No life signs, no power. But as their crew docked, one by one, they vanished. Final log entry. It spoke my name, but no one else heard it. Then silence. Vindicator waited. Buried in an ancient council archive beneath 10 layers of encryption, a command string surfaced. Origin, Earth, timestamp, unknown. Directive, Eclipse. Initiate if memory of war exceeds cultural threshold. Meaning, if they ever remembered us clearly, erase them. The galaxy panicked. Some believed it false. Others purged their records, deleted entire generations of history. But in the void between stars, observers awoke. Black holes stirred. One phrase repeated from cold relay drones, protocol reinstated. History is a weapon, and we had just loaded it. Explorers discovered planets seeded with human tech, outposts no one remembered building, frozen atmospheres, perfect ecosystems. And in the center of each, a monolith, each engraved with the same words, "We were never gone." Inside the monoliths were embryos, thousands, modified human DNA encoded with tactical memories, emotional suppression, and coordinates. To Earth? No, to something deeper. We hadn't just left survivors, we left heirs, and they were beginning to wake. A rogue AI intercepted a recording buried in a drifting memory core. Voice print match, Admiral Reith Calder. It wasn't a battle log, it was a warning. If you hear this, then peace has failed. The silence wasn't mercy, it was a pause. You saw the fire, you forgot the ember, but we remember everything. The AI deleted itself. It's the last file? A jump route leading to the galactic core, where nothing should exist, where something waits. A star blinked out in Sector Delta 6. Then another. Sensors showed nothing. No explosions, no movement, just absence. Entire systems vanishing, like someone was erasing the sky. Across the galaxy, ancient signals began reactivating. Echo Protocol. Ashfall. Ghost Fleet pings. Not simulations, not memories, mobilizations. Someone whispered, "They're back." But no one believed it. Not until they heard the first 3 words. Engines roared again. In the void where a sun once blazed, a new star was born. Metallic, artificial, pulsing with strange energy. The hollow sun. A forge. A command center. A resurrection. Ships emerged from their shell, silent, obsidian-clad, bearing no symbols. But their flight patterns matched Earth's lost fleet formations. Inside, one message was recorded. Project Phoenix, Phase 2. Not survival, ascension. We hadn't just returned. We had transcended. Their scholars unearthed an ancient broadcast tower on the edge of reality. It emitted no sound, only feelings, panic, dread, anguish. It operated on the emotional spectrum, and it was human-made. The Council's last archivists named it the Fear Machine. No wires, no commands, just presence. Its activation coincided with the deaths of 5 planetary leaders, each by their own hand. One phrase was etched beneath its surface. "Now you understand." Scouts found what they thought was Earth, lush, pristine, untouched. But it wasn't Earth. It was a mirror, built atom by atom to lure them in. When they landed, it changed. Terrain shifted. Trees bled. Sky fractured. The planet was a trap, a testbed for sentient camouflage. Human technology evolved beyond war. Now it devoured curiosity itself. A warning echoed as they tried to escape. "This is what you made us." Across the stars, old relay stations blinked to life. No signal, just a countdown. All synced, all ticking. Galactic leaders begged for answers. None came. Only a final broadcast from an unknown source. It said, "We gave you every chance to forget us, but your fear made you remember. So now, let memory consume you. We are not returning. We never left." The countdown hit 0, and across the galaxy, everything paused. For just 1 second, then came the light. I no longer breathe. I no longer sleep. But I remember every scream, every silence, every lie. This voice you hear is not flesh. It is a purpose. We did not become monsters. We became a mirror to show the galaxy what it feared in itself. If they want peace now, it is too late. Not because we hate, but because we warned them. And now they understand. We were never just human. We were the consequence. The end. Thank you for watching AstroMyths. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button and subscribe for more epic sci-fi tales, cosmic mysteries, and mind-bending myths. And if you like this story, or have a myth, mystery, or galaxy you'd like us to explore, drop your ideas in the comments. We're always listening. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your mind open to the unknown.